Okay, so with this project, we're addressing a bad habit of mine. I'm sure that many other people have it. I sleep super heavy, and I end up being late for like work and everything important. Um, so I find that only the loudest and most like heart pounding alarms do anything or have any chance of waking me up. But I have a baby now. I've had a baby for a little while, but I had a baby, and when they sleep in the same room as you, you can't just have hardcore electronic music or like literal like air raid sirens. After I finished my Christmas project and learned what I learned, I was reminded of a pet peeve of mine where I hate it when people like poke your back or poke you to get your attention. There have been plenty of people where they're tapping your wrist like, hey, 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 and that just it surprises me and it like bothers me like to no end. So I was thinking we might be able to utilize that to wake me up more quietly in the mornings. So the plan is as follows. I'm going to have a watch that straps to my wrist. It keeps track of time, it keeps track of when the alarm time is, and it'll have a servo placed in such a way where when it goes off, it repeatedly touches me as if somebody's like poking me, like trying to get my attention. Even if the surprise doesn't, I'm sure the irritation will wake me up. I plan to 3D print the case and design the electronics around the Arduino Nano because it doesn't seem like it's any different than the Arduino Uno, but it should work for this project. So, as all these projects start, I started out on a breadboard. I used the same code technique for the Christmas lights project. It keeps track of time, even though the Arduino doesn't have a clock of its own. It only counts the amount of milliseconds since it was turned on. Here's the code. It's spaghetti, but it works. It works for setting the alarm and the current time. We don't need a off time like we did with the Christmas lights project because we only have one time. Once it's going off, you just hit the power switch to shut it off. I then had to do some research because I've got it working on a breadboard, but if it's going to be on my wrist, I'm not going to have a power cable plugged into the outlet. So I need a battery, and I haven't worked with batteries in any projects. I ended up going with a small cell phone battery that is a LiPo battery. It's 3.7 volts, so it's just one cell, and it's 1500 milliamps. I don't really know if that's true, but that's what they say. So it works, whatever, it works for me for now. I use this type of charger board. I'll show you which type it is. For the LiPo batteries, it stops it from over discharging and from overcharging, because either one, I don't really want a big fireball on my wrist while I'm sleeping. It's not my favorite. Okay. I found that with the Arduino, you can run it on less than 5 volts, but you can't run a servo on less than 5 volts. It kept just not working at all. I thought the project was doomed, but I found that there's this little tiny board for super cheap called a charge pump that can bump the voltage from 3.7 to 5 with only some losses in amps that you can use at one time. I tested it with the board and the servo, and it worked. I'll show you a link to the board for the charge pump as well. Now that I had batteries working, and the board was working with the batteries, and I had the breadboard test and the servo was working, it was time to design the case. I ditched FreeCAD and went to Fusion 360. This worked much better for what I needed it for. I mocked up where I wanted everything, and then I designed the case around that. You can see that I was trying to minimize space since it's supposed to be like a wristwatch that fits on your wrist. So I 3D printed those parts, and then I put everything in, and I don't think I really filmed putting it all together, so let me show you. So here's it all assembled. This is my wristwatch. Look forward to the full teardown video. I have to fix something in it, so I'm going to tear it apart on camera so you guys can see how everything's arranged. But you should be able to sort of see it in the 3D model. I'll make sure that I show the, you know, roughly where everything is. So here it is. It's just a simple little green box because I used the green filament. It's got 2 screws that fit here. I should have had 4, but I did 2. This tape was left over from me trying to keep it down. This is a prototype, so you know, you do what works basically. I just have this strap glued on there. I think in the future I would actually 3D model a section for the strap to go through, but I didn't think ahead enough for this one. And as you can see, there's a glaring problem. There's a huge crack, and the reason why there's a gap is because you literally can't squish it down, because I thought I'd learned from the Christmas lights video. You'd think that I would have learned, but I didn't leave any space for the wires again. So I was cramming the wires the best I could to try to make it fit because it needed to fit. But, you know, as you can see, it's huge, it's super tall, but it works. So you've seen it working. It works, it wakes me up, but it, you know, it's a little bulky. So I have the LED on the side. It's a little indicator. Then I've got the button that works. There's the switch on the bottom. This is what I need to fix. It's somehow the screws came loose, and so it's like you can't trigger it anymore. Like I can't flip it on without it, like a screwdriver or something. Oh yeah, here's a charging port that charges the LiPo battery. I'll program it for you right here, so we can see. I gotta use this. I have to use this for now to do this until I fix it. But when I fix it, it'll just be the switch again. But so you switch it on, and it does the exact same thing as the other one. So we can put in how many, I don't even know how many hours that was. And then it does 10 minutes. And then singles. So now the current time is programmed. And now it moves on to when do you want the alarm time to go off. So if I'm actually gonna, I'm just not gonna set it for anything. So it'll be set to midnight, and it'll set to alarm at midnight. And because of that, it will just start going off. Yeah. So you can see the servo. This is where the servo pokes. And I don't know if you can tell through the video, but it's significantly quieter than an alarm. It wakes me up better than just a phone vibrate on the bed, but it is still a little bit loud. So if I could find some way to smooth out if there's some way that I can smooth out the noise even more, or dampen it with some foam or something like that, I probably would want to do that, because sometimes it won't wake up the baby, but it will wake up my wife, and that's, if I have to wake up at 7 in the morning, everybody shouldn't have to wake up at 7 in the morning. But yeah, the alarm works perfectly, and up until recently, I had used it every day until I broke the switch. However that happened, I don't really know. The only thing I think that I have to improve for this prototype, other than adding like a screen or, you know, like a touch screen interface or something like that, is that it's bulky. I have thought of some solutions, but I'm going to keep them to myself for now until I put up a video on those projects, because I've got some pretty neat ideas to make it a lot less invasive, because this gets caught on the sheets and everything, like, and I can't use it as like a, let me bring this to work and use it as like a timer or anything like that, because it's just so bulky. Like I would whack that on everything, but it works overnight. You know, you're just sitting here like this, and then it starts freaking out on you. Let me show you what it looks like when it's going off on. So I'll cut to when it's about to go off. Okay, should be any second now. See, so now it's, and even though it doesn't seem like much, that just little bit of touching, you feel so much more than you would like hearing an alarm. At least for me, because once I'm out, I'm out. So this is much more useful. And surprisingly, it stays on there pretty good, even if I give it some force. Like, it doesn't kill the servo. And actually, it hurts more if I do that too. So I guess if I resisted it in my sleep, they would wake me up faster. But yeah. So, if you liked this video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit like, maybe subscribe. I'm doing more stuff like this throughout this year and really just on into the future. I also do game dev stuff. You can see some of that, but I'll be doing better stuff in the future. I plan to do different things, just trying it out, seeing what works, seeing what I find is fun. But yeah, so see ya.